Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters in YAHUSHUA. Today we're going to be reading Genesis 22 and Matthew 22. Okay. Now it was after these things that YAHUVEH tested Abraham. He said to him, Abraham. Hineni, he said. Then he said, Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains about which I will tell you. So Abraham got up early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son. He split wood for the burnt offering, and got up, and went to the place about which YAHUVEH had told him. On the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and saw the place from a distance. Abraham said to his young men, Sit yourselves down here with the donkey. As for me and the young man, we will go over there, worship, and return to you. Then Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering, and put it on Isaac his son. In his hand he took the fire and the knife. So the 2 of them walked on together. Then Isaac said to Abraham his father, My father? Then he said, Here I am, my son. He said, Look, here's the fire and the wood, but where's the lamb for a burnt offering? Abraham said, YAHUVEH will provide for himself a lamb for a burnt offering, my son. The 2 of them walked on together. Then they came to the place about which YAHUVEH had told him. And Abraham built the altar there, laid out the wood, bound up Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached out his hand and took the knife to slaughter his son. But the angel of YAHUVEH called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. He said, Hineni. Then he said, Do not reach out your hand against the young man. Do nothing to him at all. For now I know that you are one who fears Yah. You did not withhold your son, your only son, from me. Then Abraham lifted up his eyes, and behold, there was a ram, just caught in the thicket bushes by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it up as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham named that place YAHUVEH Yireh, as it is said today, On the mountain YAHUVEH will provide. The angel of YAHUVEH called to Abraham a 2nd time from heaven, and said, By myself I swear, it is a declaration of YAHUVEH, because you have done this thing, and you did not withhold your son, your only son, I will richly bless you, and bountifully multiply your seed, like the stars of heaven, and like the sand that is on the seashore, and your seed will possess the gate of his enemies. In your seed all the nations of the earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. Then Abraham returned to his young men, and they got up and went together to Beersheba. Then Abraham dwelt in Beersheba. Now it was after these things that it was told to Abraham, Look, Milcah has also bore sons to Nahor your brother, Oz his firstborn, Luz his brother, Chemiel the father of Aram, I don't know how to say that name, Hazo, Pildash, Yidlap, and Bethuel. Then Bethuel fathered Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also bore Tebah, Gaham, Tahesh, and Makkah. Matthew 22. YAHUSHUA answered and spoke to them again in parables, saying, The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who made a wedding feast for his son. He sent out his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they wouldn't come. Again he sent out other servants, saying, Tell those who were invited, Look, I've prepared my meal. My oxen and fattened cattle are killed, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast. But paying no attention, they went away, one to his own farm, another to his business, and the rest grabbed the servants, humiliated them, and killed them. Now the king became furious. Sending his troops, he destroyed those murderers, and set fire to their city. Then he said to his servants, "The wedding feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. So go into the highways and byways, and invite everyone you find to the wedding feast." And those servants went out into the highways, and gathered together all they found, both bad and good, and the wedding was filled with guests. But when the king came in to look over the guests, he saw a man there who wasn't dressed in wedding clothes. "Friend," he said to him, "how did you get in here without wedding clothes?" But the man was silent. Then the king said to his servants, "Tie him up hand and foot, and throw him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen." Then the Pharisees went and plotted how they might trap him with the word. And they sent to him some of their disciples, along with the Herodians, saying, "Teacher, we know that you are honest, and teach the way of Yah in truth. And what others think doesn't concern you, for you do not look at man's appearance. Tell us, therefore, what do you think? Is it permitted to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But YAHUSHUA, knowing their wickedness, said, "Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the tax money." So they brought him a denarius. And he said to them, "Whose image is this, and whose inscription?" "Caesar's," they said to him. Then he said to them, Give therefore to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to Yah the things that are Yah's." And hearing this, they were amazed. So they left him and went away. On that day, Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to YAHUSHUA and questioned him, saying, "Teacher, Moses said, if someone dies having no children, his brother, as next of kin, shall marry his widow, and father children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers among us. The first married and died, and having no offspring, left his wife to his brother. In the same way also the second, and the third, down to the 7th. Last of all, the woman died. So in the resurrection, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had married her." But answering, YAHUSHUA said to them, "You've gone astray, because you don't understand the Scriptures or the power of Yah. For in the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like the angels in heaven. But concerning the resurrection of the dead, haven't you read what was spoken to you by Yah, saying, 'I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob'? He is not the God of the dead, but of the living." When the crowds heard this, they were astounded at his teaching. But the Pharisees, when they heard that YAHUSHUA had silenced the Sadducees, gathered together in one place, and tested him. One of them, a lawyer, asked, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the Torah?" And he said to them, "You shall love YAHUVEH your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The entire Torah and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments." Now when the Pharisees were gathered together, YAHUSHUA asked them a question, saying, "What do you think about the Messiah? Whose son is he?" "David's," they said to him. "Then how is it," he says to them, "that David by the RUACH calls him Lord? For he says, 'YAHUVEH said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet.' If David then calls him Lord, how is he his son?" No one was able to answer him a word, nor did anyone dare from that day on to question him any longer. Alright, well that's it for this week. Love you very much, brothers and sisters in Yeshua. I apologize for coughing so much. I don't know if you could hear that. Try to do it off screen a little bit. Or off the microphone, but you know how allergies can be. Everything's in bloom, so. Alright, well, I love you very much, brothers and sisters in Yeshua, and with Yeshua's help, we'll all keep going. So, alright, well, bye for now. Shalom.